Well, folks, FM24 Touch on Apple Arcade and also on the Nintendo Switch is out now. I'm going to be testing the Apple Arcade version, but they are very, very similar. So if you're looking at the Switch one as well, know that it is basically the same game. So almost everything I'm about to talk about, apart from the iPhone specific stuff, is relevant to both. And I'm going to be playing it on an iPad, so it will look the same way it'll look on a Switch. New features wise, the match engine improvements, the positional rotation, the save game compatibility, the set piece creator, all the stuff you've seen on the PC version is in this one. Plus, there's some stuff that is exclusive to the Touch and console versions of the new game, specifically new ways to do dynamics, training, board requests. There's a lot here. Let's crack on and have a little look, shall we? And here we are then on the main setup menu screen for FM24 Touch. I'm playing this on an iPad Pro. It runs on the Apple Arcade version across all your Apple devices, so you can play the same game and the same save across iPad, whatever flavor of iPad you've got. I've got an iPad mini as well. It runs fine on that. It also plays on iPhone and does look slightly different on iPhone and is a definite step up from FM Mobile. If you've got both Netflix and Apple Arcade subscriptions and you're not sure which version to get, definitely FM Touch is the one for you. But you can also play it on your Apple TV, your Mac, and the save works across all of them. It's quite a snazzy setup. They brought it in for the first time last year, and it's just been polished up, as I say, with some improvements for iPhone this year. Now, because I'm not playing this on the iPhone, I can't show you the iPhone user interface, but I will just put this over the top of me now, which is a little slider they've put on the Football Manager website that shows you the difference between the interface for the iPad and iPhone version. That's pretty much the only difference. The rest of the game plays the same. The features are all the same. It just has a more phone-friendly user interface for the smaller screen version. The one downside, of course, is the only way to access the game is via Apple Arcade. So you do need an Apple Arcade subscription to access the game. You can't buy it separately, which I know upset a lot of people last year. But if you're anything like me, you might have Apple Arcade thrown in with your phone contract. I don't pay for it, but I have it. I don't know how. I think it's my phone contract. So I get access to it for free anyway. Didn't get it for free from Sports Interactive. This is a freebie with my phone contract that I've got my Apple Arcade included in there. So let's have a look at what we can do then. This is the home screen, and as you can see, you've got multiple different options for ways to play the game. You can do a career mode, you can do a creator club, or you can do a challenge. I love the little challenge modes. I'm just going to have a look to see which challenge modes we've got in the game. These are very cool. If I were ever to do content on FM Touch or FM Console here on the channel, it would almost certainly be on one of these challenges. I've suggested for years that they should be in the PC version of the game, so I think they are cool. But we're going to be testing on career mode because that's where most of the new features are, and similar to all new versions of Football Manager this year, apart from mobile, you can import your FM23 saves into FM24. It's particularly valuable on a subscription service like this one where FM23 disappears as FM24 comes along. So if you've been playing through an FM23 save and you've been enjoying it, know that you can just bring that save into the new version of the game. You're not unable to play anymore because the older version of the game has disappeared. Yes, I consider myself an experienced Football Manager player, just a smidgen. We're just going to set up with Arsenal as we're doing in all these tests. As you can see, you do have the choice of the three different new game modes that you have on the PC version and the console versions of the game. So original mode is the mode that we've had for years. You know all about original mode. If you've played FM before, you've played original mode. Real world differs in that it has the real world transfers, but rather than them all being at the club at the start of the save, they join your save or leave your team in your save on the same date the transfer happened in real life. And then your world mode makes it so the transfers never happened at all. So it basically starts you from a blank slate at the end of last season, and you can redo the summer transfer windows that have already happened. So a few different game modes that have been brought across to this version of the game as well. We're just going to play on original mode for the purposes of this, but know that the other modes are there. We're allowed 5 active nations, which is far less than you get on the PC, and it's also less than you get on the console version as well. But it is more than you get on mobile, I believe. For the purposes of this, we're just going to have England loaded. We don't need to have multiple nations loaded for this. So if we just continue through, set up the game database, and crack on with our little bit of a playtest and hunt for new features. So we'll just whack my details in as well. Manager creation has had the same tweaks that it's had on the PC version as well. We're not going to change any of that stuff. We don't need to fiddle around with that. We'll just randomize the body. But things, what a hairstyle, that's amazing. But the things like the face paint, the hearing aids, the little tweaks like that are in the PC version have made it through to this version as well. I don't know if this is just my stupid fat fingers or if it wants me to change something on here. Or has the game entirely crashed? I think I've crashed the game. Well, there you go. Stability issues, boys and girls. Let's try that again, I guess. Well, eventually got us back on. That's worth noting, actually, that was a massive crash. Not only did the game crash, I couldn't reload it. It wouldn't open up again. I ended up having to restart my entire iPad. Worth noting. I mean, this is a current model M2 chip iPad. It should be able to run the game smoother than most PCs people run Football Manager on, but it did not like that. So hopefully we don't have any more of that showing up, but we're one page further on than we were when it crashed before, and now we're into the first of the new features, which is setting up our manager principles. We get a little tutorial along with each of the new features to let us know what they are, but the way principles work is you basically have to select 3 areas, 3 things that you want your squad to be judged on, your standards that you're going to set for your team. And depending on which ones of these that you select, they'll have different impacts on how you can manage your team, how the team will respond to the things that you're doing. So choose them carefully, choose them according to how you would want to run your team. So I think I'll choose leadership, intelligence and perfectionism, and it gives you a little bit of an idea of what impact each one of those has. In fact, you've got a little button down there where you can get suggestions for ones that might work quite well. I don't know if that matches it to the squad. I guess it does, maybe. You know what, we'll go with the suggested ones. Why not? We'll just save that. We can set up a cloud save, and if we set up a cloud save, that will allow us to play it across any of our devices, and you can actually see my cloud save from when I did this video last year, which cloud saves across all of the different Apple devices. So if I put that on there, I'll be able to load it up on my phone, my Apple TV. I mean, as you can gather from the fact the only other save I've got on there is the one from last year, this video. I'm probably not going to, because I play Football Manager all day for my job. I tend not to play it in my free time, but the option is there, and it is cool to see that that works, and the importing save thing is very much there. So let's go and hunt out some of these new features. So we've got our little menus on the side here. Oh, that's my battery down there. I was wondering what the little square in the bottom corner was. That's just showing me my battery percentage. So manager timeline is on there. I hate the manager timeline. We're not going to look at the manager timeline. What we are going to do is go through looking for the new features. So as you can see, it very much looks like the console version. It's like a hybrid of the console version and the PC version, because it looks and has a similar interface to the console version, but some of the controls are very PC based because it's touchscreen. You don't have to worry about doing it with a controller, so you don't have the side screen that slides in and out, unless you're on the Switch, in which case you will. But here we have the new dynamics. This is new to touch this year. It links in with the principal stuff we've already done, and then you have the principle of players, the principle. I've recorded too many of these videos today, but players can then buy into your principles and your management style. So it says there, view how much your players have taken on board your methods of management through player buy-in points. And then you can also, we'll show you the mindsets and pivotal moments on there as well. So first up, we have our player buy-in. So we've got our 3 principles down the side, which we can change. If we want to change them, we can change them. And it actually shows on there how the principles we're set up with fit in with the kind of players that we've got. I'll show you what the categories there mean in a second. So this set of principles doesn't work well with leaders, but works really well with thinkers and relaxed players, and doesn't really have an impact on hard workers. And if you go to the mindsets tab, you can then see which players fit those categories. So you've got this wheel which shows you can just click anywhere on the wheel that you want, and it just shows who fits into what category. So we've got 3 leaders in our squad. We've got 7 thinkers. We've got 6 relaxed players and 7 hard workers. So the principles that we've got at the moment are particularly good for the thinkers and the relaxed players. If we had loads more leaders and hard workers than we had these ones, we might want to go back to our principles and select some principles that better match the player mindsets that we've got. But actually, we've got quite a nice spread of mindsets, and I'm pretty happy leaving things as they are. And this mindset thing is cool because it shows you the different kind of players that you've got. I mean, for example, your team leaders are the players that you're probably going to want to maybe consider for captaincy. You're going to want them to lead mentoring groups potentially. They're likely to be quite high up on your hierarchy. The hierarchy looks different from it is on the PC as well. I mean, we don't have any of this mindset or buy-in stuff on PC. We do have the hierarchy, but it looks very different. On here, you literally just touch a segment of the triangle and it shows you which players are in which category. You can do it with the little the menu things over on the right hand side as well, but I'm just touching the triangle there and you can see which players fall into which category, and it's all very, very intuitive. If anything, having now done this on console already, it's a more intuitive interface on the touch screen. It almost feels like it's perfectly made for iPad and fits kind of well onto controller controls which you would get on the console or on the Switch version. Although, of course, on Switch, if you're playing in handheld mode, you do have the choice between using the controller or the touchscreen. So you've got the best of both worlds there on Switch. So that's all of the new dynamic stuff. If we then go into tactics, a couple of things we'll notice straight away. One, we have the new player roles. So you've got inverted wingback is there as a player role, which was there before. That's not the one I was trying to do. What I was actually trying to show was the inverted fullback, which is the new position. And having the two of those together in our tactic the way they are, when we get to showing you the match engine shortly, you'll be able to see the player rotations that are new in the match engine this year. And what you should see with that back four setup like that is when we're in possession, Zinchenko will move forward and sit alongside Partey and form a double pivot, and Ben White will tuck over and become a third centre-back, and then the 2 centre-backs will move over slightly to accommodate him. It's really cool. If you've not seen it in action yet, if you are just an FM Touch person and you've not seen any of the early access stuff on the PC version, it is one of the coolest new things that's been added to Football Manager for years, this positional rotation stuff. I really, really like it. So that's new on tactics. What you've also got is the new set piece creator, which is brand new, much better than anything we've had before. It's slightly pared down compared to how it is on PC. It's exactly the same on touch as it is on console, if you've already seen that video. And you get asked these 4 questions by whoever's in charge of your set pieces. And for each one, you get the pros and cons of what you might select. So you can like choose each of these and it tells you why you might want to choose the different answers. So you can really get an idea of how your set pieces are going to end up being. But this one's asking what kind of defensive marking strategy. We're going to go for a hybrid marking strategy. We are going to go for balanced players left forward. We're going to go for near post because I love near post in swinging corners. So we're going to set those up, and then the set piece coach gets everything sorted up. There is a tutorial you can go through if you want to do that. I don't need to. I've done this so many times now across different versions of the game. And then from here, you can set up different routines for corners, free kicks, throw-ins. We've even got long throws back, everybody, for FM24. So you can set up long throw routines. You can set up multiple different corner routines, so you can have up to 3 routines set up. So you might want to have a near post in swinger, a far post in swinger, and maybe, I don't know, a near post out swinger. So you've got 3 different corner routines set up. And then you can have a look down here how these different corner routines set up. You can flick between them and you can see where your players will set up within it. It's really, really, really cool. There's a lot more depth to it than what I'm showing you. I am going to be doing a video on the new set piece system in the very near future. It'll be on the PC version, but it's very similar across PC, console, and touch. So it's worth checking that one out. If it all feels like too much for you at the moment, you can just allocate it to your assistant manager and you never even need to look at the screen. So that's always a nice thing to be able to do as well. Continuing to flick through, Data Hub is unchanged. What is different though, we have changes to training. Specifically, we've got mentoring groups, we have training units, and also some tweaks to your training focus and the various bits and bobs on this screen. I'm not much of a training guy. I'm not sure what's different on this screen because, as you just saw when I showed you my saves, I haven't played a lot of FM Touch. But if you played a lot of it last year, you will probably notice the differences on that screen. Where I know there are differences, this units thing is new. So you can have your 3 different units, your attacking unit, your defending unit, and your goalkeeping unit, all doing different things, and you can move players between those units so that you've got different players training on different things and focusing on different things. You can manage your individual training and development for each of your players, and then you also have mentoring, so you can set up mentoring groups. And this is where you might want to tie this back in with some of the stuff from in Dynamics, because different things on the different sections of Dynamics will have a different impact. So you might want to have more thinkers in your squad. If you've not got many thinkers, you might want to take a thinker who's quite highly influential in the squad. I mean, we've got a thinker who's a team leader there in Gabriel Jesus. So you might want to have Gabriel Jesus lead a mentoring group with a couple of younger players to try and pass on some of his mental attributes to maybe develop a few more thinkers in the squad. You might want to, I don't know, pull someone out of one of these others. In fact, they're all senior players, aren't they? But you could take some of your younger players and put them into a mentoring group with a senior player who is of the kind of mindset that you want, and you can start to mold the shape of your squad so it then better matches your principles. You can adjust the principles to match in with your squad. There's a lot more to this player development stuff on FM24 Touch. It's quite cool. Continuing to flick through, I know there's a change on the club vision. Within board requests, you can now go much more in depth on board requests. It's a much more user-friendly interface as well. You can see you've got all the different things at the bottom here that you can request. There's not a lot we can do with requests this early in the game. I mean, we can ask Arsenal to build a new stadium. They're probably not going to, but why not ask? You can decide whether your request is a normal or a high priority. You can only have one high priority every 6 months, so use it sparingly. And then you have to give a reason for why you're making this request. You can do 3 requests at a time, so you can put that request in as a normal request. Maybe I want to increase my transfer budget as well, so I can do that as a normal request, but then maybe I consider it a high priority that we get some new training facilities. So we've made all those requests to the board, and then you can see they're all showing as pending at the moment, and in time they will tick over to either accepted, rejected, and if they're accepted, you'll show the progress of them as you go through. So it's a screen you're going to want to check in on from time to time to see what's going on over there. But that is all of the new features that are in the menus. The other thing to show you, the final remaining thing to show you, is the changes to the match engine itself, because the new match engine, there you go, we've got one of our requests rejected straight away. So that's come straight back into the inbox. So we can go into our board requests, and you can see down the bottom there, that one has been requested for increase of transfer budget, but the other 2 are still pending, so they haven't made a decision on those yet. But yeah, the other big change that is in this version of the game, we're just going to quick pick a team so we can see the match engine in action, is the new match engine, the new animations, the player rotation stuff that I was mentioning before. That is all in the touch version of the game. So very different to what you get on FM Mobile, which, if you've seen my FM Mobile video, I was quite scathing of that kind of thing in the mobile game. But here in the touch version, you'll see the player rotations. In fact, we're probably just going to need to adjust some of this stuff so that it looks the way we like the game to look. Bump the speed up a little bit. That was probably too far. Stick replays on behind goal. So it works exactly the same as the PC version of the match engine. And It's really, really cool. Even on iPhone, you get the 3D match engine that we're seeing here. So there's one of our new set pieces in action. So we've got the new set pieces. We've got some new player animations. There's things players can do now, and the way they run, the way they take shots, deflections, for example. There's new animation. It looks more like actual football taking place than it has done previously. But what I really want to show you, there was one of our long throws that we set up there. I mean, it wasn't a very successful one because we literally just said try long throws and then didn't do anything with it. But that shows that they will look at the long throws. We're maybe zoomed in a little far here for playing on an iPad. We're just going to take the zoom out ever so slightly. On PC, I zoom in that far. On PC, I'm playing on a 28-inch monitor. We were zoomed in quite a long way there for playing on an iPad, but there you go. We've got a counter-attack up and running now. What I'd quite like to do, now we're in possession, is just switch this to the 2D view, because then you can see what I was talking about before about how the formation has changed. So we started with the 4-3-3, but you can see now we're in possession. We have switched seamlessly into 3 at the back. So you can see Ben White has tucked across. He's playing on the right-hand side of a 3. Salah's gone into the middle, and Gabriel is there on the left-hand side of the 3. And our left back, Zinchenko, number 35, has come forward and has played alongside Partey. And that in turn has pushed Partey further to the right, so they're now a double pivot. So we've gone from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-4-1 in possession, very similar to what the likes of Arsenal and Manchester City do in real life. It's so cool. I know I'm not really one to get excited about tactics stuff. That excited me this year. It's so very, very cool. But let's just watch the match engine in action. We've seen the player rotation stuff. I'm hoping you get to see some of these new animations, get to see some of the maybe a deflected goal. In my console video that I made that came out yesterday, we actually saw a deflected goal, the likes of which you've never seen before in Football Manager. And it's just these little realism tweaks are really, really cool. I like the fact that they're adding all these extra bits in. There's Zinchenko charging forward. That's our left back again. I will keep reminding you, that is our left back charging forward like that. But it is absolute madness. It is, if I didn't play Football Manager as a job all day on my PC, I think now, if I was still working as a teacher, which was my job before I used to do this, and had limited time, I think this is the version of Football Manager that I would play. I think the fact that you can have it, there was one of our set pieces working. I think the fact that you can have the same save that can work on your phone, your tablet, your TV, your MacBook, your Mac. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, and I very much am, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you can have one save that goes across all your devices and looks really, really cool. Here you go. We've got our one of our in-game decision things. This is something that is also new for how FM Touch and console both work. We didn't get to see one of these in action in the console video, but we've got an in-game decision that we can make here. Zinchenko's slightly injured, and one click we replace him with Tomiyasu. Easy peasy. I mean, you can still do your normal substitutions using the tabs and things at the bottom. You can do your touchline shouts. Any of that stuff is still there. But if something significant happens, you can just make a quick decision just like that. And it's really, really cool. But yeah, as I was saying, I think this would be the version for me. It's just so easy, so seamless to go across devices. It runs as well as it runs on PC. If you want that sat down at a desk PC experience, you can play it on the Mac. If you want that PlayStation, Xbox, sat on the sofa on the TV experience, you can play it on your Apple TV. You've got the only tablet experience you can get in FM now is this one, and it's better than FM Mobile. It's literally the best of all worlds. I really, really like this version. But the downside to it, of course, is the only way to get it is to subscribe to Apple Arcade, which, like I say, I get it free with my phone contract. So I'm not actually sure how much it is. I think it's £5 a month. I stand to be corrected down in the comments below. So if this was the only reason to get Apple Arcade, which I know for some people it probably would be, it's a very expensive way to play Football Manager. But when you compare it to the cost of buying for the Xbox, for the TV, for the PlayStation, for your phone, I don't know. I think it's cool. I really like this version. And they were your new features for it. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, got something out of it. If you did, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me, just to let me know that you want to see me continuing to do these kind of videos. I'm trying to showcase all the different versions of the game. If you want to see more content specifically on the touch version of FM24, let me know down in the comments as well. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on. We have daily Football Manager content across all the different versions. Have a little nose around. There's lots here for you to enjoy, and thank you very much for watching.